Hello and welcome to Road to GOTY 2019 for FF14 Shadowbringers. I'm going to do my best to keep spoilers out of the visuals, but I will be talking about spoilers. So definitely keep that in mind. I think that Shadowbringers is the best thing that happened to Final Fantasy XIV in a long time. It's a very good expansion. It cannot, just like Iceborne, it cannot win Game of the Year, because our rules, our expansions cannot win to keep expansions from winning every year, because otherwise FF14 could win every other year. But I do actually think that Shadowbringers is Game of the Year quality. I think that if it was eligible for Game of the Year, I'd be fighting for it, no question. It's such a good expansion. It adds so much wonderful new things to this game. Brand new set of zones, in a new areas, with some crazy cool fights, some cool monsters. There are some really interesting story beats that happen here. I'm going the wrong way from where I'm trying to go. I need to go all the way back this way. I got busy talking and wasn't paying attention. There are some great story beats in Shadowbringers. It has my new favorite Final Fantasy villain of all time. Emmett Selk is such a good villain. It has some really, really powerful story moments. The stuff that happens with Ardbert. Oh, the stuff that happens to Ardbert in this is so terrible and wonderful at the same time. Terrible for him, wonderful for me who loves tragedy. I absolutely love what they do with Ardbert in this expansion. And even your main character has to go through some really cool things. Where in the previous expansions, your character was kind of just fine, you know, kind of just safe. Could lose a fight, but that was about it, you know. In Shadowbringers, your character is actually like in bad shape. It gets real bad at one point and looks like it could go terribly, and you kind of forget you're playing an MMO, where it's like, oh, this is really bad, because you do care about your character. You've been playing them for a long time. But I absolutely think that Shadowbringers is worth playing if you are on the fence about whether or not you should play Final Fantasy XIV. I think Shadowbringers is actually, in a weird way, a really good place to start, because most of the characters you're interacting with are brand new. You do have to, of course, get a skip to start here, which is unfortunate. I wish that one came with the expansion so people had that option. But I think Shadowbringers is absolutely worth playing. I think that if you are already playing 14, then it's a no-brainer, obviously. And if you're not, try out the free trial, see what you think. I think that Shadowbringers alone is worth it. And then the updates that have come since then, the things that they have added to Shadowbringers from there. I do want to talk just a little bit about the zones, and then I'll talk about any problems that I might have. I think the endless light is such a cool idea, as the light is overpowering, because too much of any one thing is not good. Even like things that would normally be considered good, you know? And so the way that they do that and then use it in playing the game, in the way that it affects the story and the interactions there, the people that live in this world that don't know what night is anymore, and they have to try and learn about it as they go, and have to try and understand what's happening there. All of that is amazing. I think the world is really cool. The Crystarium is my favorite hub in the game now, even over Ishgard, which is insane for me. I love this expansion. I think they did such a good job with it. Zones, right. Colucia's pretty cool. It's honestly probably my least favorite out of all of them, but I do still really like it. I like it a lot more than I like some of the other zones in the game. I think that Lakeland is really cool. I love the purple trees and the effect that the bright light has on the purple trees. I think that's really cool. Ilmeg is really interesting. I like the look of it a lot. Amarang starts off kind of like a desert, but then you get into like the ruins and everything happening there, and it winds up really cool. Raktika is awesome. I absolutely adore that zone. And then the final zone, the Tempest, is top tier zone. Love that zone, especially what you get into at the bottom of that zone. Such a cool idea for a zone, man. I think the changes they added with the classes, the balancing that they did, the balances with PvP, I think it's all really solid. I love the way New Ninja plays. I don't know, that didn't come with Shadowbringers as part of the expansion per se, but it has come in recent updates and still counts. I love what they've done with Ninja. Ninja plays so well now. And there's not really a class that I don't like playing as now. I think the only one that I would complain about is Astrologian. I think Astrologian doesn't really work. They've done some updates to it that make it a lot better than it was, but it still just doesn't super work for me. What do I have that's around that level that could fight it? Nothing really. We could try to take it on with Monk. I'm doing hunts just while we're talking. for anybody that doesn't know what I'm doing. It's an easy way to get XP for other classes. The big thing for me with Shadowbringers, obviously story, most important. And they nailed story. They got that down pat. Story is so good in Shadowbringers. I think it's probably one of my top 5. It alone, just Shadowbringers, is one of my top 5 Final Fantasy stories. I really love what they did with Shadowbringers, and it's very sad, like the stuff that happens in it, but they use that sadness. It's not just like dark for the sake of being dark or grim for the sake of being grim. It's used to propel the motivations of the characters, as you see characters like Chainuz and characters like Magnus overcome their weakness to try and make things better with the life that they've been given. It's really powerful. It's really well done. I really like the Crystal Exarch. I like Lena. I like just about all the new characters. Even Vothri, in his own way, is like really cool. I think the concept of the Sin Eaters is a really interesting idea. Like monsters that, if you kill them, they it doesn't matter if you kill the Light Wardens, that is, because their ether is so powerful it overwhelms you. If they kill you, you become a Sin Eater. It's such a cool idea to have like almost a zombie style thing that just doesn't. It's not zombies, you know. They are. Oh man, we're taking a bunch of damage. They are a very specific race, and they're based on this ether, and they can still think, which is even more terrifying, you know. I just think it's really cool, really well done. Accidentally turned off Fist of Fire there. I hit the wrong button. Maintenance is coming up too, so we're gonna have to. Yeah, I think this expansion story-wise is so good. Then you get into the previous Warriors of Light and everything there that's going on with Ardbert and the role quests, and as you unlock those, you learn more and more about what's happening and what has happened with them, and you have to try, and that was not the button I meant to push. I'm trying to do too many things at once. You have to try and bring an end to their suffering and let people know that like they're not as terrible as they think they are, and that they're actually like really good people. Grantee, please heal me. Please heal me, Grantee. Please heal me. He's beating me up, Grantee. Please heal me. I think they did such a good job with the story in this. And that's not even getting to like the side quests, the role quest for the, like I was just talking about, those are really good. But then like the stuff for like blacksmiths and the crafters is actually really good too. The story quest that you get at the end of any one of the individual level 80 quest lines for each class are really good. You don't have the full job quest the way you used to, but those story quests are really solid. I do kind of miss the job quests. I wish they were back. I understand why they're not, because there's a lot of jobs now, but I do think that those final quest lines there are really interesting. Dark Knights is really good still, which is no real surprise, I suppose. I think the Beast Tribe quests are pretty cool. I think the stuff with like the individual quests in the areas and learning more about like the dwarves and everything going on there, it's all really, really solid. I think they just knocked it out of the park with this expansion in a way that like Stormblood didn't. I didn't hate Stormblood, and I love the Ozim Steppes. It's in my top 5 zones. But Stormblood just didn't do it for me in the way that Shadowbringers is. And I think they did a really good job. And I know I'm just repeating myself with that, but they did. They absolutely did. They did an amazing job with the zones, with the world, with the characters, with the music, with the dungeons. I love everything about Shadowbringers, except the fact that you have to get through ARR still to get there. That's the biggest thing. I cannot tell you how many people message me or friends that would call me and say, hey, I know you're really big into Final Fantasy 14. I want to play Shadowbringers. How do I start it? And it's like, well, you gotta play through ARR. I'm sorry, you have to do it. And they're working on that. They're trying to squish it down, but I just wish it could have been ready in time for Shadowbringers, because I feel like more people would have gotten into Shadowbringers if it was. That said, still super worth it. Still super worth it. It's so good. I talked about job balance a little bit. I'm jumping all over the place. Because, again, I talk about this on the podcast all the time. It's hard for me to talk about games I like that I don't really have any issues with. It's easy for me to talk about games that I struggle with, or games that I think have like underlying structural issues. And for 14, that's really just ARR and maybe like housing, right? But other than that, 14's really solid and I love it. And there's not really any big issues that I have. I would like Astrologian to be better. I think Astrologian's balance is still a little weird. But we also got like 2 new jobs with 14, with Shadowbringers. And like, Dancer's really fun. Dancer's actually a lot of fun and really interesting and unique in the way that it plays. And then Gunbreaker is really powerful as a tank, but is also like really fun to play. I think they did a really good job, man. There's not a Palace of the Dead equivalent yet, which is unfortunate because I want to level all these classes and it takes a while. But at the same time, like, there's still hunt marks, there's still leveling roulette. We got the Eden raids, which are really fun and interesting. Those boss fights are really unique. They have a lot going on. We got the first of the Near raids, and that raid is incredible. I love that raid so much. It's like for every small complaint that I can think of, Shadowbringers just goes above and beyond. In my opinion, no doubt to me, it is the best expansion that an MMO's ever had. And like for me before, that was Wrath of the Lich King, you know? So like, I love what they've done with Shadowbringers. I think it's so good. You look at the individual boss fights, you look at the individual dungeons, you look at everything going on there, you look at all of the storylines, you look at all the music. Man, the music is incredible. The music for the twinning alone is amazing, but then you get into everything with Amalrat and Emmett Selk, and the music there, and the story there, and Emmett Selk as a character, and as a villain, and the Crystal Exarch, and how that all ties in together, and then you have characters like Kai Shur, and like how the Scions wrap into everything, and it's just crazy how it all comes together. It's so good, man. Are there any other complaints that I have? Because I've just literally said it's so good to this recording for like 10 minutes. Fate grinding for the shared fates for the gemstones. Kind of annoying, to be honest. Kind of annoying. I got them all ground up. I needed to for XP anyway, so I did it. But I don't have all the rewards yet because I have to do it more. It's kind of annoying to grind out those fates. I'm gonna be honest with you, I'm really reaching for complaints here. Dark Knight still feels kind of weak-ish, but it's still so fun to play, and you got Living Shadow now, and I'm really reaching for complaints now, and it's just, if that doesn't tell you how much I love this game, I don't know what does, because I'm so critical of things that I enjoy. I love Sekiro, and I put out a really long review on it. I love Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'm extremely critical of it. There's just not much that I can find to be critical of. I think there are definitely things that I'm not thinking of that 14 struggles with. Load times can be really bad, especially on popular servers. I'm trying. I'm really trying. I promise you. This is not just me overlooking issues that this game has. I'm absolutely trying to come up with some more issues that I have. I still think the housing is a big issue. The fact that it's so incredibly hard for free companies to get houses they want because it used to be open to individuals. But there's just so much to love in this game. Basically, I'll spoil a small side quest, and hopefully that will give me the chance to talk about why the story works so well in Shadowbringers. So, in Shadowbringers, there is a quest line where you have to talk to this girl that is not doing very well. She's a songstress who has lost her voice, and the worry is that she's not going to be able to serve her master in Yulmore, and so, you know, maybe she'll be thrown out, maybe she'll be given up, maybe she'll be killed. And her master is like, no, you've served me so well for all these years. I wouldn't just throw you out. I wouldn't just cast you aside. And he says, instead, I'll offer you as a sacrifice. And she's like all excited about it. It's not like offering you as a sacrifice the way he puts it. I'll bring you to enlightenment is the way he puts it. And she's like all excited about it because that's this great thing in Yulmore, to be brought to enlightenment. And so I'm trying to avoid as much spoilers as I can while explaining it. But she is left there. You leave her there because you've completed the quest and everything's okay. And you leave there, and she's killed and turned into a Sin Eater. And you find out later that the people of Yulmore have been slowly disappearing and turning into Sin Eaters. And then Sin Eater has been fed back to them to keep them, like, fed and safe and not trying to do anything. And you realize that that girl that was upset because she was worried that she had let her master down because she couldn't sing anymore and she would be worthless, and was so excited to be enlightened, not only is dead and turned into a monster in an extremely horrifying way, as we see in Amarang, but has been eaten by other people that she used to know, by friends of hers. And it's like, oh my gosh. And like every zone is like that, where side quests have these incredible reveals that would be main quests in most games, because they would say, well, people need to know this is happening. And it's all over the place in 14. There's a quest here in Ilmeg with the fairies where they're like, hey, would you go trim up the leaf people that are around everywhere? And you find these weird leaf statues, and you find some of them that are like smaller, and some of them that are fishing, and some of them that, and they're just weird. They're just there and doing nothing. And you realize over the course of that quest, those are people that the pixies turned into leaf people. So the little ones were children. There is a circle of small leaf men that you realize are a circle of children that were turned into leaf men because the pixies got bored of them. It is incredible the amount of, like, horrifying stories that are tied into the side quests of this game. And that's just the side quests. The main quests go even deeper. I'll stop here, because if I don't, I'm just going to keep rambling about how much I love this game. But FF14 Shadowbringers is 100% worth it. Again, if it was a full release on its own, it would qualify for Game of the Year. It does not. That doesn't mean it's not going to be on my top 10 list. But with all that said, I've been Trey. This has been the Full Spectrum. And remember to always enjoy the full spectrum. Final Fantasy XIV. It's to offer.